Let's bring this January 6th Newton Falls City Council Newton Falls City Council regular meeting to order. If you could turn off all cell phones or turn them to vibrate, and we ask the spectators to please keep quiet during the meeting. If you're too loud, it is disrupting to others. If any attendee is too loud, they will receive a warning. If it happens again, you will be asked to leave. So if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then a silent time of prayer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Don James of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, come forward and lead us in prayer.
Sure. Let's pray. Lord, we just thank you for a beautiful day this time of year. We thank you for an opportunity to gather. And Lord, I just pray for Newton Falls, this whole community, Lord, that you would lead and guide the leaders here this evening, the mayor, Lord, all the city council. Father, we pray for the schools, for all the schools, for these kids within this area, Lord, especially at Newton Falls. Keep them safe, first and foremost. And Lord, I just pray that you would bless each teacher, the administration. Lord, we ask for unity within the community. I pray that we would just look to you and the good of all, Father, that you would meet needs, that we would help fellow brothers in need. And Lord, I ask most of all for your wisdom and guidance upon this group of workers, Lord, that not only serve the community, but are here to serve for the better good. Lord, I just ask that you would just be with them, grant them your wisdom and guidance, when we thank you in Jesus' wonderful name. Amen.
Okay, roll call, correct?
Savet.
Here.
Bariak. Here. Waddell. Here. Raymeyer. Here. Alberini.
Here.
I'd like to make a motion for a special presentation.
Second.
Any comments on that? Or,
Not yet.
okay, we got a second on that?
second, yeah.
Okay. Okay, the roll first.
Bariak.
Yes.
Waddell.
Yes.
Raymeyer.
Yes.
Alberini.
Yes.
Savet.
Yes.
This is where you and I have to get out of the way.
Ah.
You can sit there, you're about the same height if you sit there, so. That's how that works. When I was elected mayor, my wife bought this for me. And maybe your wife will buy you one that's engraved if you don't have one yet. But I learned a lot with this. I learned a lot about our government. I learned a lot about rules and processes. And it was great to do. I really enjoyed it. It brought a lot to me. So what I'd like to do is give you this, and then after you open it, I'll explain it to you.
Okay. I'm afraid to open it. So
Yeah, why
pop
not?
off. And,
No, the top won't pop off.
oh, I was going to bring a croquet mallet, but this is even better.
I don't know the history behind this, to be honest with you, but the Mayor 34, Mayor Tom Moorhead, gave that to me when I was elected mayor. And I'm not exactly sure I got it, and I've tried to find out. Every time I go to check, he's never around. So what I'd like to do is, since he gave it to me when I was elected mayor, I want to hand that off to you and kind of make it a tradition, and hopefully maybe when you're done, you can pass it down, and someday down the road, maybe we'll have a little history with it.
Yeah.
And I only did use it a couple times. I actually did use it. I brought it to a couple of meetings in case I really needed it, but we did use it a couple of times. So there you go.
Thank you very much. that, I'm kind of stumped there. We don't need any comments on that.
Motion to adjourn?
There you go. All right. Public comments. isn't
Yeah,
it?
public comments, just the
Okay.
agenda items.
All right, public comments. Unless prearranged, the public comments sections are limited to 3 minutes. A 3-minute timer is used, and when the timer sounds, you will be asked to conclude your statement. The comment section on the agenda are not a debate or a question and answer section. The first public comment section is for agenda items only. So is there anybody that would like to speak? Going once, going twice. That was easy enough.
To reports. Good.
All right, reports. Start off the mayor's report, and obviously I wasn't here, so I don't have anything. The only thing that I would like to do is, first off, thank the individuals that are in the room, as well as the community, the donors that paid for the whole thing, as well as the guests that came and made the swearing-in ceremony a really, really nice day. I do appreciate that. And secondly, I wanted to just tell each individual sitting here, what an honor it is to serve with you. Just fine individuals, solid individuals, and I'm thankful for that. And that I look forward to the potential that we have as a group to be a part of some really, really great things to take place in Newton Falls. And that's about it for the mayor's report, if you want to call it that. So, council members, we start with the
Maureen Moore.
I have nothing to report, Mayor Klein, but I was truly honored to be a part of that and humbled to be a part of that. It was just a wonderful event, and I was blessed by your speech. I was blessed by the choir and the council over there. The orchestrator of it all did a great job. Mr. David Lynch.
Okay.
Each one of the council members, order, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also,
I don't know.
what?
You want to go next?
Oh, yeah, I'll go.
That's good.
Okay. Also, I want to say it was a great swearing-in ceremony. It was a great day there. We did have a couple of special meetings I attended. The Empo luncheon was great. Do want to put a shout out to the New Day Recovery Center, the gentleman that came up here to help. It was really good. I had a guy out there with me who actually was a short order cook over in Boardman for a while, and it was a lot of fun sitting there listening to him talk about how he cooked and all those things. So that was a lot of fun. I do have the economic development year-end report that we're kind of required to give, so I'll go ahead and do that. The economic development team and Mr. Lynch and I attended meetings not only here but in Columbus and up in the Cleveland area. There was a lot of topics covered this year. Those topics included site selection, site development, smart mobility, finances and incentives, the role of the Ohio Rail Service, business retention and expansion, which is extremely important, changing practices of workforce and economic development, Jobs Ohio Talent Acquisition Services, planning in the digital age, neighborhood reinvestment, shared services and local government cooperation, innovation, planning, and execution of our strategic plan here in Newton Falls, building a culture of collaboration, creating the project designs that would catalyze our neighborhoods. Should we build a spec building here in Newton Falls? That's a big topic across the state, whether communities should build spec buildings, and that was a really good discussion there. Higher government collaboration, building development indicators that support partnerships and foster economic growth, economic development tools in the annual budget, the renewable energy pathways for economic development, which has to do with the electric cars that are being produced and the electric vehicles, how to put SMART back into manufacturing along with the additive manufacturing that's coming to the valley, how to do special improvement districts, the overview and benefits of public power, using transportation as a workforce innovation for the employees, and a couple of the important legislative ideas that are going on in Columbus that we've been watching is SB 1, which requires the state agencies to reduce the regulatory restrictions by 30% this year. That's still going through the process, hasn't been acted on. And the HB2, which is the Tech Cred program, it passed in November of 2019. That is a program that helps the Ohioans learn new skills and helps employers build a stronger workforce with the skills needed in a technology-infused economy. We had numerous meetings with David DeCristofaro, contractors, realtors, and business leaders. We met with CSX, the Ohio Rail Commission, Eastgate, Trumbull County Planning Commission, the Mahoney River Corridor Mayors Association, the Northeast Ohio Development Exchange, and multiple elected officials. We had meetings with our partners in Portage County with the Eastern Ohio Military Affairs Coalition, Youngstown Warren Regional Chambers, Township Trustees, and all concerning Camp Garfield. We met and worked with Youngstown State University. We met with the Ohio EPA and our contractors concerning property here in the community. We asked for additional comments. Now, would you like to, if you would like to make some comments, or if you'd like to make comments before I continue about anything with economic development from the year?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that.
No, I'll leave it to a minimum. I think we're on the right path here.
Okay.
So I think we're on the right path.
Anything you want to say from the group?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, can we recognize for a moment?
Go ahead.
Councilman Waddell's identified some of the meetings that took place with reference to economic development. And there are a number of projects that the Councilman Waddell and I, we feel like we've been in the 9th month of pregnancy for several months now. And we anticipate some news coming forward. But because we respect the decisions on a corporate level and the way they impact the corporation's investors and the corporation's employees, we've been obligated to keep these things under wraps until such time as they come forward. But I guess all I wanted to say was that the things that Councilman Waddell referred to portend for 2020 to be a very active, busy year, because many of these things will come to this city council for approval of some of the incentives and changes that need to be made to welcome some of these new jobs. So buckle your seatbelt. We're in for a very exciting year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
One of the last things that I want to talk about, in our last meeting, when we were meeting with DeCristofaro and with the Regional Chamber, they talked about the housing issues here in Newton Falls and the surrounding area. There are a lot of prospects for development and jobs coming to maybe even Newton Falls, but the surrounding area. And once again, we would like to be in place to pick up on some of those jobs and those people coming to Newton Falls. But we don't have a lot of available housing. And we need to really look at how to develop and get some contractors and some developers interested in building new housing and at least have some places ready for building. And one of the things we've talked about quite a while, and Mr. Bariak has talked about, is the rental situation in Newton Falls and how we have issues there. And I did some data research and put these numbers together. Now, these are not accurate by 100%. They change daily, as I was told by Ms. Munson in the utility department, but I think you're going to get the general idea. We really do need to build some new homes, and we really do need to address some of the rental issues here in the community. East River Gardens is about 75% rentals. It's really kind of interesting. The rest of the Newton Falls, the homes in Newton Falls, there's about 25% of the homes that are actually rentals. So Newton Falls as a whole is about 39% rental property. It's less than I had expected, but if you average it all together, Newton Falls has about 39% rentals. There's about 2,760 places in Newton Falls to actually live, houses and rental property. 1,626 of those are owner-occupied homes. There's actually 47 homes in East River Gardens that are actually owner-occupied, and that leaves 112 that are all rentals. And there's about 397 homes in Newton Falls that are for rent. There's about 690 apartments in Newton Falls for rent. Some of the apartment complexes are master metered. There's about 350 or 60 apartments that are under 3 master meters. Here's the interesting part. There's about 121 landlords that live inside Newton Falls. There's 86 people that live in Newton Township that own rental property in Newton Falls. There's 41 people in Trumbull County that own rental property in Newton Falls. There's 53 people that live outside of Trumbull County but live in the state of Ohio that own property in Newton Falls. And there's 27 people that own property in Newton Falls that live outside the state. Quite interesting numbers there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that we might want to take a look
Yeah.
at in the future. So that concludes my report. The clerk has a copy of this, so thank you.
Mr. Braemar, do you have anything to share?
No, I don't. Since I'm new, I have no report.
Okay, Mr. Bariak?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Mr. Sabat?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on December 18th, or sorry, December 19th, when the governor was in the area. I got invited out to Camp Garfield to meet with they were having a ribbon cutting for their gun ranges, and I had a chance to meet with the Adjutant General and the Base Commander, Major Sean Robinson. We had some fruitful talks in terms of us helping the camp move forward with some of their projects. So at some point, I would like to have the Major Sean Robinson come give a presentation to council about what they're doing out there and how we might be able to work mutually beneficial, moving things together. And that's it at this time.
Are you going to take the lead and set that meeting up, or are you
Yes,
going to have?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was going to do that.
Finance Director have anything for us?
Your Honor, just the only thing I want to report is that the Ohio Department of the Nature Works grant for our Parks Department has been submitted back to the state, and that the Finance Utility Office is extremely busy with year-end processes. That's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fritz, the Law Director?
Sir, I have nothing to report, but I'm available for questions from council.
Okay, would anybody like to address the Law Director? Okay, and your City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council, ladies and gentlemen. Just a couple of items, and one is that I talked about great things happening in 2020, but one of those very important elements, I will be directing a letter to the Planning and Zoning Commission to ask them to take a look at an issue that I've been beating the drum about for months. Some of you went with us on a tour that we took of fiber optic communities. As you know, we went to Fairlawn, we went to Wadsworth, and my point is that it is a vital economic development tool. I am looking at the idea of attending a special fiber optic conference on a national level coming up in the next several weeks. And around the country, fiber optic is now being referred to as the fourth utility. And what they mean by that is you've got water, energy, which is electric and gas, telephones, and fiber optic is being viewed as the fourth utility. And the point is that if we are not on the train for fiber optic, that kind of means we don't have the proper utilities in our town to attract new businesses and families. People want speed in their internet, and they want efficiency in their internet. And fiber optic is a whole new world over coaxial cable. And as you know, I've been investigating ways for us to have our own utility operated by Newton Falls, and I hope to bring back some information. And then my only second point of this report is that last year you may recall that I began the equipping of Newton Falls to be a brine solution, snow removal, and ice dealing community. And the whole theory is that I've wanted us to be better at snow removal, more efficient at snow removal, and having the roads in a safe condition, especially during rush hour. And of course, that means for the morning, our guys have to be out no later than 4 o'clock in the morning. In the evenings, it's a little bit better. However, what we equipped ourselves for was the utilization of brine. We've never used brine before. Brine is basically a solution, sort of a salt-like liquid solution that allows the salt to be that much more effective. Part of the problem with salt is that it has some temperature limitations, and what we've been trying to do is come up with a solution that lets the salt be more effective, keeps the roads clear longer, and allows us to avoid chemical utilization the way some communities have, which is not good for the environment. So we've been equipped for war against snow and ice, and Mother Nature has disappeared in great fear of our tools and equipment. It's been a strange winter. I've been keep on ready to put on my battle gear, and haven't been able to do so. That time is coming, and I'll talk to you further about what the results are. But we are geared up to be much more aggressive the way we deal with snow and ice this year. But to be sitting here on the 6th of January and say we haven't really had a major snowfall is unusual. I'm not a climate change guy, but we appreciate Mother Nature saving us some money in that regard. But we are ready for the battle, and I think you'll be pleased at what happens to the roads in Newton Falls, especially in light of the fact that we expect to have a more expansive road repair and replacement program in 2020, much as you saw in 2019. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Okay. Question for you, if I could.
Certainly.
Obviously, we know that we sometimes get pretty good snows clear up into March, et cetera. With this brine, as well as our salt in the winter so far being pretty mild, do we have large stock of salt and brine that can be carried over, or how does that work?
Well, the brine comes in a liquid solution, and we do have a stock of the brine. However, as far as the salt is concerned, we've had to use virtually none. So our salt shed, and you can tell what they look like. They're over off of by the service garage. We've got a gigantic supply. In addition to that, we have a very good relationship with ODOT and an independent supplier. So if for some reason we get 2 weeks of nothing but snow and ice, we have the ability for delivery to be made into our shed such that our trucks never run out. The good news is that because of the way this winter's been handled, the access to that, there are years when the supplies run low because of such an avid winter. That's certainly not the case, and we are well protected in terms of supplies.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anybody else before we move on?
Actually, I have a question for the law director, if I can go back.
Sure, go ahead.
Sorry. Two things. First, is there a reason that we don't approve Robert Rules of Order for council for our meetings every year?
We don't need to because it's included under the rules we have.
Okay.
So-
So where are those? We don't approve those rules every year then?
No need to.
It's in the ordinance, I
It's in
think.
the
Oh, it's in an ordinance form?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in your council rules, and the council rules are done by ordinances. You can modify those, but as it stands now, Robert's rules is specified in there as our ultimate determination. If the Constitution, the Charter, all the other rules don't apply, then we
Gotcha.
fall by
No,
order.
I wasn't sure,
Yep.
because I know on several of my boards, we pass those every single year, so.
We would not need to here.
Okay.
You have a second question?
No, I actually answered my second question too.
Catch that. Was that on the committees?
No, it was Robert's Rules of Order, just, it's when the council rules, so, okay, we're good.
Okay, Mrs. King, we have some changes to tonight's agenda? No?
Unless they have something they want to
No? Okay. Approval of the previous minutes.
I'll make that motion for December 16th.
Okay.
Second?
Okay.
Roll call now, I guess.
Yeah. Roll call.
Waddell?
Yes.
Braymire?
Abstain.
Alberini?
Yes.
Savet?
Yes.
Bariak?
Yes. I'll make a motion that we approve the December 23rd, 2019 special meeting.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Braymire?
Abstain.
Alberini?
Yes.
Savet?
Yes.
Bariak?
Abstain.
Waddell?
Just.
Okay,
I'll make a motion for the December 30th meeting.
Second.
okay, roll call.
Alberini?
Savet,
Yes.
Bariak,
Yes.
Waddell,
Yes.
Raymeyer.
Abstain.
Okay. Public hearings.
There aren't any scheduled for this evening, so we can bypass that step.
What's
There's
that?
none scheduled, there's nothing that's going to go forward, so you can go right to new business under number 10.
Okay, number 10. Okay, you don't go with the public hearings first, or no?
We only need public hearings if we have a brand new ordinance or if someone wants to speak.
Okay, never mind. I was thinking of the public comments.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
so we're going right to new business, you
Yes, sir.
said? Okay. New business, and that goes under the resolutions that are here beside me.
Ask if anyone wants to bring forth the resolution one and have it brought to the floor. Oh, thank you very much.
A resolution of appreciation to Chief Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court, Maureen O'Connor.
Second.
Okay, do we need a roll call on that, or do you go with the comments first, or how do you work that?
You asked for comments.
Do we have any comments on that resolution?
Yeah, it was really an honor to have the Supreme Court Justice of the State of Ohio come to Newton Falls to swear the new mayor in. And again, the orchestrator of all that was Mr. David Lynch, but truly an honor to talk to her and meet her and so forth and so on.
Okay. Any,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to be heard on that as well.
okay.
Yeah, the Chief Justice coming to Newton Falls, it's kind of like Elvis arriving from a legal standpoint. It was really outstanding, but what really made her feel special as well was not just the graciousness of our new mayor. She was very warmly greeted by Gil Blair, our state representative who participated, Avery Friedman from CNN, and in fact, she made a few comments about Avery Friedman during her speech, and Larry Morrow, and also what made this an exceptional event, along with the Chief Justice, was that Mayor Doug Franklin from Warren made a point of sending a special greeting, and I saw that the Chief Justice was impressed by the fact that we were all coming together. And you may recall in her speech, she made a point of saying that constructive criticism is a great thing, but criticism that's done in a way to tear people down is destructive. That's what she said. She said it's destructive. And then finally, what really lent the appropriate air to the whole thing was that one of the along with the joint veterans of Newton Falls, Color Guard, we had an honor guard from YARS, Youngstown Air Reserve Station. And the Chief Justice recognized the tie between these people that offer their lives in our defense. You know, we live in a difficult time right now, and it wouldn't be surprising in the next couple of weeks for people at YARS to be scrambled to take off and do something to defend all of us. And I know the Chief Justice kind of felt something special there in terms of what all those veterans, men that sacrificed years ago, and now these new soldiers that are subject to scramble. So I wrote a note to the Chief Justice to tell her about how much we appreciate what she did, and I will make a point of making sure that this resolution passed tonight is delivered to the Chief Justice, to her office, to say thank you. And you know, Mayor, the Chief Justice turned to you for a couple moments during her speech as well, and I think you reciprocated with the talk that you gave, and I think she saw that Newton Falls is special territory.
Okay. Any other comments? If there's no further comments, we go into the roll call now.
Yes, sir.
Savet,
Yes.
Bariak,
Yes.
Waddell,
Yes.
Raymeyer,
Yes.
Alberini.
Yes.
Okay, resolution,
Have the clerk read by title.
Okay.
Since I didn't do it that way last time.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to cooperate with the Ohio Department of Transportation to microsurface State Route 534.
Marini, Waddell, and do we have any comments on that?
In which section is this? They're doing from Maple to East Broad Street?
Yeah, it's actually the other section, I refer to the other section, 534, sort of the Milton section, otherwise known as Waddell Avenue. Up and down Milton Avenue. This is such an unusual thing. The state requires that the council pass a resolution that the city manager will cooperate with the state when they start microsurfacing the road. Well, I'd cooperate with them anyhow. But we are, as a legal matter, required that you pass this resolution. And I believe this is to add further life to that side of 534. And I might also add that there's also going to be some microsurfacing going on as part and parcel of the area in front of the Rite Aid, where you saw that great work happen. Well, later on, in a few weeks, we're going to be some microsurfacing there as well. And it's kind of an etching, which is supposed to add further life to the road.
Question for the city manager. Excuse me, I had a very bad cold. Do you anticipate any changes that we are going to have to pay for? I see that it said that the state was going to pick up the cost unless there were some changes that we were going to make. Do you anticipate us making any changes, sir?
No.
Okay, if there's no other comments, we do the roll call.
Bariak?
Yes.
Waddell?
Yes.
Braymeyer?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Savet?
Yes.
Okay, if you want to,
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for Vice President Johnson.
Let him read that first. And he has to read it, doesn't he?
for number 3, does that need read by Ms. King, or?
No, it's part of the packet so that they're aware of what's in there. The motion brings it forward.
Okay.
Motion, Mr. Savet, for Vice President Council.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, do we need any comments on it, or do we go right into roll call comments?
I was going to, he beat me to the punch. I feel that Mr. Savet is very well qualified to handle this job, and that since all of us have had the honor, except Mrs. Bergmeyer, who's brand new, I feel that maybe this will be his last year. He chose not to run, and I would like to make sure that he got a chance in that position. He can handle it.
Okay, any further comments? All right, do the roll call.
Waddell?
Yes.
Braymeyer?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Savet?
Abstain?
Bariak?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a motion then to assign council committees for 2020?
Do you want to suspend the rules of council just for a moment to discuss this? Mr. Fritz?
You certainly can.
Okay. I make a motion that we suspend the rules of council to discuss this.
I'll second that.
Okay, we can do a roll call on that?
Yeah.
Braymeyer?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Savet?
Yes.
Bariak?
Yes.
Waddell?
Yes. This is the 2019 template, I take it?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to suggest or make a few amendments. Do I do one at a time, Mr. Fritz?
It makes things much simpler if we do.
Okay. I would like to move, of course, Mayor Klein to Economic Development. I would like, well, do I keep going then? One at a time?
I don't have a crystal ball, sir. I think
I have a
if
question.
you should
Hold
probably,
on, John, wait, I'm done.
since you're off the rules, it's however you want to do it.
Okay.
And if you want to put them all together and have a discussion in between,
Right.
it's kind of free-for-all for a few
Right,
minutes.
Got you.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do that one. I wanted to move Councilman Waddell to Public Safety with Mr. Alberini. And also for Eastgate, I wanted to move the mayor to Eastgate as well. we have to have a mayor in Eastgate.
Yeah.
So, that was it.
Go ahead, John.
I wanted a question for the law director.
Yes, sir?
Are only the standing committees, or do all the council representative commission boards and that need 4 votes tonight? We changed
There
it.
is, there's not, yeah, we're not,
Excuse me.
should be a 3-vote move because we're putting the packets were given notice in advance. So if you had notices in advance, it'd be a 3-vote.
I thought we had an opinion, sir, from Ms. Sopovich, that the mayor is a member of council, and that the mayor changed the committees last year because he said he suspended them and said it wasn't done properly by 4 votes.
That's not what her rule said. That was on the one section of the charter that we were working with.
What section was that, sir?
I don't know off the top of my head. The problem we ran into last year is when we were making changes without prior notice of what's going on. Since everybody in council got it in their packets, you only need 3 votes to pass it.
Mr. Fritz,
Yes, sir.
will the mayor get it tonight? In other words, we don't have to have 4 votes to change council positions or to make these positions tonight?
Correct.
Why did we change them then? Why did we change them last year?
We change them
I mean,
every year at the beginning of the year.
I understand it was the beginning of the year, but what we had at the beginning of the year, we changed it twice, once in June because of, and then the mayor suspended the council. He said, I think it's been done illegally.
That's when we didn't have advance notice, sir.
Remember that? He said, and we waited till we got an opinion, and then Ms. Sopovich ruled. Did she not rule on that, sir?
Mr. Baric, did you give prior notice when we had the problem before? The answer is no. So you needed 4 votes because it's not giving people proper information. This is, you got prior notice because it was part of your packet you received before Saturday. Therefore, 3 votes can carry the ordinance or the agreement with regard to the positions we have. You're comparing apples to oranges with that opinion.
I don't mind doing it one way and then changing, and I'm just trying to get a clarification because I have the minutes in that, and maybe I read it wrong, but I'll...
You and I have been down this road 15 times. With proper notice, on most occasions, you need 3 votes. Now, again, there are certain things you still need 4 votes for. Ms. Sopkovich and I both listed a few of those as examples. But for purposes of the opinion we had last year, the issue was proper notice in advance.
Look, what I'd like to say tonight is this. I'm under the spirit of working well, starting afresh and starting anew, like Mayor Klein says. And public service is service, not serve us. We all have jobs. We all have something to do with our time. And I just didn't want to see everybody get stuck with this, with too much to do and some not to be fairly divided. So that's my question. And I don't see too many changes except the economic development.
Well,
And one other, I still see I would like to see some of the others have some of the experience serving on some other things. Who's
what? John, can I ask a couple questions? Jump in here real quick.
Sure.
Ms. Breimeyer, is there a committee that you would like to serve on?
Yeah, I'd like to be on Park and Rec.
Okay.
Yeah.
But,
I think that's what Flo was too, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Well, Sandy down here, Park and Rec.
Yeah, yeah.
Say it now. That's what I do. Say it
Right,
now.
yeah, because I want to work with the community center, so.
yeah, so would you rather be the,
Every year, we probably do it a different way.
Would you rather be the alternate, or would you rather be the person on?
I want to be the person.
Okay, so that would, as long as John's okay with stepping aside.
Oh, were you on parking?
Like, I don't want to take anything away from someone, without, asking them first. Ow. Yeah, I'm not sitting here again.
Were you on Park and Recs?
Yeah.
I was on Park and Recs last
Motion
year.
went off the rules.
That was one.
Mr. Alberini, what were the 3 changes that you had made? I had trouble bringing mine up.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No need to apologize, sir. I'm the one that's falling behind.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I understand. Sometimes this gets kind of crazy every year when we discuss these things. Mr. Waddell to Public Safety
Wait a minute.
For beer.
for Beer.
Yeah, can you say who
As the
they're replacing?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Waddell replaces Mr. Beer on Public Safety.
Where's
Got it?
Understand.
I see it.
Okay. I believe we need to add Mayor Klein for Eastgate because we need a mayor there.
Yes.
So Mr. Waddell and Mayor Klein. Economic Development, do we add the mayor to Economic Development Committee or not?
You can.
Okay,
You can.
okay. I think
It's
that's,
a good idea, I think.
Yeah.
well, every squirrel finds a nut once in a
Who's going
while.
to be on economic development now then, sir?
Myself, Mr. Waddell, the mayor, and Mr. Lynch.
You know, here we go.
And let me explain why before we get into a ruckus, okay? Because the last couple of years, John, and as Mr. Fritz has said, we've explained this stuff 15, 20 times. We've established relationships with all these people, okay? And relationships is what drives business. And you're going to see the fruition of these relationships here in 2020. So, you want this back? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
present now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So that was the whole purpose of that. You want my pen, too?
All right. Good. Beer.
We also have Mr. Beer on planning and zoning. It was on the template. That should be changed also, folks.
Mr. Beer was on the fire board.
Savet?
Whoever, yeah.
The fire
No,
board.
I don't.
I'm sorry.
I don't think Mr. Savet wants to serve at the fire board, does he? No, he does not.
Who's on the fire board?
Mr. Beer.
But who,
I mean, well,
that's what I'm saying.
Don't look at me.
you want to be on the fire board?
No.
She does too. That's
I
on the
believe
list.
Mr. Alberini could be on the fire board. How about that? I'd like to see
Somebody
Mr.
has to be.
Alberini.
Mr. Barriott,
He works well with Mr. Nemeth.
I enjoy Mr. Nemeth. We have a really strong relationship with the township. I'm not well-served, I'm not well-schooled on fire department matters. I'm sure there's other folks here, including yourself, that can do that job.
If nobody else wants to, I will. I mean, if you want to serve on the fire board?
I did, if I may have the floor, Mayor.
Well, yeah, do you want to serve on the fire board? I mean, if you want to, go ahead.
No, I didn't ask that. I asked that it be spread around. Have you been on the fire board, Mr. Waddell?
I just got here.
Well, then, if you want to be on the fire board, be on the fire board.
Well, I mean, it doesn't
No,
matter.
no,
I mean,
no,
you've been
no,
here for, you haven't been on it yet. If you want to, that's fine.
Well, there's just about everyone on here I was on last year. No, I would rather see you go on that. If you want to do that, that's up to you.
That's fine.
I want to make excuse me.
If Mr. Waddell's going to be the primary, we need an alternate for the fire district.
Would you be
board.
the alternate, Mr. Barriott?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
that would be fine.
thank you.
That'll work for you.
Yep, we also need planning and zoning.
Mr. Braemar would love to do that, I think.
Troy may be recognized.
We're off the rules, sir.
Yeah.
You'll be recognized.
And can we please have all these changes before we go on over one more time?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I want to bring it up one more time. It seems like for the last 8, 9 years, and I know things take time to come to fruition, but over and over and over and over and over and over again, we have the same people serving on economic development. All I'd like to do is see if we could have a fresh approach, someone with a fresh ideas, and someone with maybe a new perspective enter. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Mr. Waddell or Mr. Alberini. But have we reached out to the Port Authority? Have we reached out to Senator O'Brien to help us? All I've got in the last 8 years is that something's coming, but we can't tell you. And the sign of insanity, if people understand insanity, is doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. They're not going to get it.
Excuse me.
No, that's why I want to
John,
change.
excuse me a second, John. I mean,
I'm not trying
when
to,
you use the words,
I'm trying to state a point.
No, you're not making a point. When you use the words
Well, I
insanity,
thought I was.
no, I think you were. Mr. Lynch, I'm going to ask you to explain that before I go off on the other end of it. Would you explain why, why this takes so long, why we are continuing to do certain things over and over, why we have met with Senator O'Brien and the Mr. Representative and Mr. Congressman and everybody else in the world, and why this is taking so long? I mean, this isn't insanity. This is the way economic development works. If you had an economic development department with an economic development coordinator, you'd still be doing the exact same thing, and you'd still be in the exact same position, because there are certain things that you can't change. You can't change the way a business thinks, or a way the business wants to act, or a way a business wants to develop. And all you can do is set the plans in place and put the parameters out there for them to work with that.
May I have the floor,
no
Mr.
disrespect.
Mayor? Hold on 1 second. May I have the floor, Mr. Mayor? The timeline you've given is like the last 8 or 9 years. This is my 7th year on council, so the timeline kind of doesn't add up, okay? So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. We just started this 4 or 5 years ago. What we've started has never been done here in Newton Falls. We were told we couldn't annex property. We were told Venture Plastics was not going to come in. And I could go on and on and on and on and on. As Mr. Lynch said, I expect 2020 to hit a grand slam home run for the community. It's time that the groundwork that we've laid over the last few years happens in 2020, and I'm excited about it. So to say that we haven't met with these, I've got a roster of people that they're probably tired of hearing from us and meeting with us and so on and so forth. We've met with all the key people in the area, plus Lyle and Mr. Lynch have been to the state multiple times. We're doing something that's never been done here before in Newton Falls. Truth be told, we're 25 years behind Twinsburg. We're 25... That
There
must
you
be
go.
my cue.
That's it.
There you go. 25 years behind Macedonia, 25 years behind Streetsboro. You know, and we can look to the past and say, you know what, woulda, shoulda, coulda. We're doing it right now. We're doing it right now. We have the relationships with the Cafaros. We have the relationships with Cristofaro. Lyle has gone through meeting after meeting after meeting, report after report after report, telling everybody what's been going on. We're not running the Secret Service here.
I think that at about a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, did I not sit here at the council meeting and read our strategic plan? And step by step that was made by the Planning and Zoning Commission, Mr. Savet, Mr. Beer, and everybody. And, you know, I had forgotten that we had that until I had gone to a class. And I pulled that out and read our strategic plan, and actually found out that what we were doing is following our strategic plan actually to the letter. It was amazing that we were actually following it to the letter. And that's how this works. And it takes time to do that.
All right.
Can we just go through these from top to bottom, and then we can be done here?
Read them off.
Okay, so Vice President Council is Savet. I still need somebody for planning and zoning.
Ms. Braymeyer was talking about she wanted to do that. I heard her over there talking about
Where
it.
are we going with this now?
Planning and zoning, we need somebody to represent planning and zoning.
Yeah, see, I knew she was,
Sandy
Who's
will
on planning and zoning now?
Sandy will do
Sandy
great.
and Zach, are you staying the alternate then?
Yeah.
Okay, so civil service,
Who's
Alberini,
the alternate?
I am.
Zach.
It stays the
Savet.
same.
Stays the same.
It stays the same.
Zach, are you gonna be able to make any during the day?
Keep reading it, Kathy. Please move
Be the
on.
alternate
Can't-
on them all the time.
Planning and zoning doesn't meet during the day. Civil service, Alberini, I need an alternate for that one.
I like
I'll be
this.
the alternate for that one.
Sandy raised her hand. I
Sandy
let
already raised her hand.
She better look.
Oh, do you want to?
I mean, it don't matter to me.
Doesn't matter to me
But I've
either.
been on civil service, so I thought maybe.
Yep,
That works.
That,
You know what I mean?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, so Braymeyer, so civil service is Alberini with the alternate Braymeyer. Parks and Rec will be Braymeyer, the alternate Savet.
Yeah, that's fine.
Treasury Investment, Alberini and Waddell. Finance and Administration, Waddell, Alberini. Utilities and Public Works, Bariak, Alberini. Public Safety, Alberini, Waddell. Eastgate, Klein and Waddell. Treasury Review Board and Enterprise Zone, Savet, Waddell. Fire District Board, Bariak and Waddell. Also, would be Waddell with Bariak as the alternate.
Yes.
Utility Appeals Board is the Finance Director, Bariak, Alberini, the alternate, and a city community member as the community member. Local Board of Tax Review, Alberini, Savet, and Economic Development will be Alberini, Waddell, Klein, and the city manager and the finance director.
Okay, thank you for going through all those.
I make a motion that we go back to the rules of council.
I'd like to have one more. I didn't mean any disrespect tonight. It's just that with the same people on all the time, should, God forbid, something happen to them, it leaves us in the lurch. And that's why I was just saying, and not with any disrespect, but the majority of this council, we've changed committees every year except economic development for 5-6 years. And Mr. Lynch, I feel, sir, you're very well qualified to do economic development, and I feel if you aren't, that we could maybe get an agent in here. I know that costs money. We don't want to, we don't want to usurp you because I feel you can handle it without an agent, hire an agent to bring some industry. But we need to move forward and prepare in case something would happen to Mr. Waddell or Mr. Alberini. And that's the only thing I said. The same people are on it every year. I've made my point, but I'm not trying to start it. I'm glad you're on it now, Mayor.
Just one last thing, Terry, before we act on your motion. The standing committees, the Finance Administration Audit, Utilities, Public Works, and Public Safety, in totality in 2019, how many times did those committees meet? And are we?
It's a goose egg.
I mean, and then at that point, are we having committees that are not meeting and we just have more bureaucracy than
That's a good
we
point.
actually need?
That's a good
And
point.
eliminate the 3 committees, all the standing committees for council. Because if we're not,
So what you're saying, Zach, is streamlining some of this stuff and get rid of it?
yes.
May I be recognized, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Per Ohio Revised Code, the Finance Administration Audit Committee cannot be eliminated. That's part of our audit requirement for Ohio Revised Code. I just recommend you keep that committee.
Public Safety did meet last year, so that committee does meet. I'm not sure how much the Utilities Public Works was involved last year.
That one doesn't really meet. It's the Utility Review Board that meets the most.
Mr. Svet, I would suggest that we keep them as we are, and I'll look into the necessity of what we need and how we may have used them in the past.
Okay.
And then we can always make a modification mid-year on it.
Yeah. that'll
So
work.
we're
Thank you.
leaving me on Utility Appeal Board.
Yeah, we're leaving everything in the way it is right now, and we'll
I'd
have
like to Kathy to go over those just one more time, please.
Okay, so Planning and Zoning will be Braymire with Savet as the alternate.
Wait a minute. All right,
Civil Service will be Alberini with Braymire as the alternate.
all right.
Parks and Rec will be Braymire with Savet as the alternate.
Are you okay with doing those two?
So far, I'm liking
Yeah.
Okay.
Ray Myers going to be Park and Rec.
Park and Rec, Savet's the
I'm
alternate.
willing to, help you out, so.
Okay, all right.
So far, it's sounding really good. All right.
Treasury Investment stays the same, Alberini and Waddell. Finance and Administration stays the same, Waddell and Alberini. Utilities and Public Works, Bariak and Alberini. Public Safety will be Alberini and Waddell. Eastgate will be Klein and Waddell.
Alberini is going to be Eastgate's rep.
No, Eastgate is Klein and Waddell.
Okay.
Tax Review is Savet and Waddell.
Alternate Waddell?
Alternate Waddell. Fire District will be Waddell with the alternate Bariak. Utility Appeals Board stays the same. Finance Director, Bariak, Alberini.
Local Board of Tax Review is Alberini with Savet. And Economic Development will be Alberini, Waddell, City Manager, Finance Director, and Klein.
And if we
I will
could-
type these up and get them to everybody. If you have your council resources books and you want me to change out all these pages, please bring them in. Otherwise, I'll make sure you get the pages, and I have yours and yours that I'll have for you after today.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, we need a roll call on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Roll call?
Alberini.
Yes.
Savet.
Yes.
Bariak. Waddell.
Yes.
Braymire.
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the committees as read.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Chairman, can we recognize, after the council, of course.
I'm good.
Okay, roll call?
I'd like to relax just for a moment. During the discussion when you were out of rule, the Ward 3 councilman asked for me to make a brief comment, and John, when you made your comments, I sensed you were sort of reaching out to me for a brief comment as well. One of the reasons I came here was to inject new energy into the concept of economic development. And what I found here was fertile ground that had been plowed through the sweat of their brow by Councilman Waddell and Councilman Alberini. And one of the reasons I think that you participated in the process of my coming in here as city manager was to evaluate and determine how we should bring these things about. This fertile ground is a position about to bear fruit. But I've been here 13 months, and I can tell you that I recognize what you're saying about the idea of bringing some new and fresh ideas and perspectives. And the people from the state have allowed us to do that through some of the new ideas that they've presented to us. And I think we're getting there. And I guess I wanted to make sure that I assured you that this economic development team is a good one, heading in the right direction. And I say that because I think that's one of the reasons you asked me to come here to Newton Falls. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Roll call?
Savet.
Yes.
Bariak.
Yes.
Waddell.
Yes.
Braymire.
Yes.
Alberini.
Yes.
All right, do we have a motion to appoint Tim Stinson to the Park and Recreation Committee for a 3-year term commencing on appointment ending December 31st, 2022?
So moved.
Who seconded it?
Terry.
Terry. Any discussion on that?
I've worked with Mr. Stinson on Park and Recs. I think he's a very good man. I'm happy he's staying on. It's very hard to get people to step up. Like Teddy Roosevelt said, to get into the arena.
Yes, he did.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
And I would recommend that for any council member or anybody that wants to be a council member to sit on a board before you become a council member. Gives you a greater insight of what is going on in the city.
Exactly.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, roll call?
Bariak.
Yes.
Waddell.
Yes.
Braymire.
Yes.
Alberini.
Yes.
Savet.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion to appoint Terry Coons to the Civil Service Commission for the unexpired term commencing on appointment ending December 31st of 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Mr. Bariak,
I'll second it.
Ms. Braymire. Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Law Director, why is that a 4-year appointment or 5-year?
Because Sandy was on the board and she had to resign to come to council.
Okay. I was just trying to.
I have a question. Was there anyone else that wanted this position? In other words, he was the only one that stepped up? Thank you. That's my question.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, roll call?
Waddell?
No.
Braymeyer?
Yes.
Alberini?
No.
Savet?
Yes.
Bariak?
Yes.
Okay. Motion to move, hold the second meeting January, on Tuesday, January 21st of 2020 at 6 PM.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a comment?
Sure.
In light of Tuesday night basketball, which you have a star playing for Newton Falls, is it possible that we can move this meeting to Thursday, the 23rd? Rest of council? Or can we?
My only problem with that is it doesn't give you enough time to get legislation published in the paper prior to the next meeting, the farther we move it back. But so legislation that is read on that meeting may not be able to be read for the second reading the following meeting. Might have to wait.
Understand.
It's up to you guys.
Mr. Fritz?
Days I can be here, days I can't be here.
Is it for me?
No, I have no gig scheduled that evening, sir.
The motion is saying,
The motion that we have notice of is for the 21st.
We don't have anybody that made it first
Yeah,
and seconded it
we,
yet, though. So.
Okay. No second on the motion then?
I'll second it.
On which day?
Well, it says, right now it says written.
We don't have a first.
He made a motion for the 23rd. I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a motion for the 23rd.
How about the 22nd?
Is there a second to that yet?
No.
I'll make a second so we can discuss it.
Okay, good.
Okay. So the 23rd puts a, for legislation purposes, that doesn't help us at all. Which I don't think we should put ourselves in bind if we don't have to. So what is the latest we can push that week to allow you to get legislation on?
I should be able to get it in on Wednesday. I'm just not sure about Thursday, because usually if I send it to them on Thursday, they can't publish it until Monday, and I'm required to have it published, is it like 2 weeks prior to?
Right.
Mrs. King, the special meeting that could I address that?
That's not what we're discussing right
Well, I want to
now.
ask about the special meeting that we had was sent to the people on Thursday, and they didn't publish it till Sunday.
That was the notice for the publication for the meeting. It wasn't the notice for the legislation that has to be published by title.
I would like to amend that motion to the 22nd, if I could, please.
I'll second that.
So we have a
The third motion.
yeah, we're amending the original one to the 22nd, I guess.
Maybe we can televise the basketball game there.
It got me lost. I don't think, so
So
the
Terry
motion on the
originally-
floor is for the 21st, we have to amend it to the 22nd.
He is amending it to the
So we have
22nd.
to vote on the
No.
amendment.
No, the motion on the floor is the 23rd. Nobody made the motion on the 21st.
Got it.
It's not always like this.
I will struggle getting here on Wednesday by 6. That's up in the air.
I mean, I can
So go
always
for
start.
Thursday. It just depends on what we have for legislation.
Mr. Alderman,
Take that, just take
could I
that.
ask you with this?
If I knew, I'd tell you.
Okay, so our original motion was to have it on the 23rd, then there was a motion made to amend it to the 22nd, but they're having issues on the 22nd, so go back.
I can start the meeting on the 22nd.
No, well, that's what we'll do. I
Yeah.
mean, we'll push for the 6 o'clock on the 22nd after we get the motions, everything made, discussion, and if I'm late, then
Yeah.
Vice President, you're.
Okay, so we need a vote on the motion to amend
Yes.
the motion.
So the motion is the 22nd now?
No, it's a
Yes.
motion to amend right now.
Motion to
Yes.
amend
To
to the
amend.
22nd.
Yes.
I'll second that motion. Or has it been seconded?
It's been seconded.
Call the roll.
No, it-
Yeah, call roll on the amendment.
Okay, Braymeyer,
Yes.
Alberini.
Yes.
Savet.
Yes.
Bariak.
Yes.
Waddell.
Yes.
Now, technically, you could have discussion on the amended motion for the 22nd.
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Alberini.
Yes.
Savet.
Yes.
Bariak.
Yes.
Waddell.
Yes.
Braymeyer.
Yes.
They got me this time. They
All
got me.
right.
It's normally not like that.
Couldn't keep up with it. Okay.
Okay, Wednesday, 22nd, 6 PM. Okay, all right. Public comments then.
Yes, sir.
Okay, public comments, and the public comments section can be on any issue that the public wishes. So if there's anybody.
Philip Beer, 509 Ravenna Road. I'd just like to say that I'd like to welcome Mayor Klein, I'd like to welcome Sandy Braymeyer, and I'd like to welcome John Bariak all into council. We had an election. The election was voted on by the people. What I want to see is I want to see everybody work together and move the city ahead. And I have confidence in the people that were put in the different positions tonight. And, let's try to work together. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else? Okay. Closing remarks. All right. Myself, first meeting, I don't have a whole lot put together, obviously. I just wanted to say that as I ran for the office, I had said that I have a strong desire to be here, and I'm going to work very hard and very driven for our community. But I do thank you for your patience as I learn some of your procedures and different things like that, and just ask for your continued help. And I asked, like I said to Mr. Fritz, I'll be asking him a lot of questions, and each individual over here, and each of the councilmen and councilwomen or council lady, whatever the appropriate way to say that is, I'll have questions for each of you, and I don't mean them in negative ways or that I'm checking on somebody. It's just, hey, I don't claim to be the smartest guy in the world or that I've parted the seas. I'm just a part of this body, and I need your help. And I think if we each approach like that, like I said, I think that really good things are in store for our community.
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I want to say this directly to Mr. Bariak, and before I don't blow up yet, but I want to say this to you. I understand your comments and I understand your point. We've worked extremely hard, and you don't, I guess, know how much time and effort has been put aside outside of council that the city manager and Mr. Alberini and I spend, and that I spend. But one thing that I will say, and I want you to sit back and I want you to pump your chest out and I want you to smile, because even though we have laid the groundwork, you can sit here and, we bring this legislation to the table, and you and the rest of this council and the people that were here before us have voted and passed legislation and things that we have done, and because of your actions and the things that you have done, not the things that I've done, that Terry's done, or Mr. Lynch has done, we've just set the groundwork. And we got a lot more groundwork moving. But you've passed legislation, and because of the legislation you've passed, this year, the city's going to recognize $100,000 in additional taxes to the general fund because of our efforts and what council's done to pass that. And I think all of us should be extremely proud of that. And you, as the person who voted, I didn't vote on that stuff. I just laid it on the table, and you guys made that decision. So I think you should be extremely proud that you were one of the people that voted to put all this stuff in place. And when you sit back and look what we're doing, it's small. $100,000, when you talk about that, that's not a lot of money. In the big scheme of things, it's not. But in the scheme of Newton Falls, that's a lot of money. It's never been done before. We've never put that kind of money in this general fund. We've worked very hard to bring businesses into the community, bring Venture Plastics, Luxair, the hotels. We've worked very, very hard to bring it in through incentives. But if you look at other communities, when they're talking of a $100 million budget or a $200 million budget, that's bringing in a tremendous amount of income tax. We brought in $100,000. That's, to everybody else, it's not a lot of money. To us, that's a lot of money. That's a start. That's where we start. And you were part of that, and you should be proud that you were part of that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Braemeier?
I have nothing.
Okay. Mr. Boria?
Thank you, Mayor. I would be the first one to say to the public tonight that I want to work with everybody up here, but it's compromise, not capitulation. I feel I'm elected by the people, and I hope we can work together. I hope we can compromise more. But I'm elected by the people, and as Mayor Waddell said, I have a job to do. And without any disrespect, and if I sounded disrespectful tonight, I'm very sorry, I apologize. But I have a point when I want to get a point out that I feel the public should know, and it's not going to be antagonistic, that I'm not going to be silenced up here when I feel that I have something to say that would help the discussion. Thank you, Mayor, for the compliment. Thank you to the new mayor, and I hope we can work together this year. That's all I have.
Before we go to Mr. Savet, you know, I just wanted to put it out there too that compromise, you know, it's not a bad thing. That doesn't always mean that we're always yes men or anything like that. I think, you know, sometimes conflict is a good thing. I took a class one time on conflict resolution, and that's how you get to your I don't know, greatest that you can be is one individual having issue, other individual have an issue, and then you maybe ask, I mean, maybe if it's Mr. Fritz and Mr. Savet, he has an idea, he has a problem with his idea. So he maybe says, well, what's the problem with it? And as you straighten out just the problem areas, it makes it a greater thing, and that's why we have different parts of the body there. So I don't believe it was disrespect to ask for clarification or anything like that. I think it's good, and we sharpen each other like that. But, Mr. Spence?
No comments at this time.
Okay, Mr. City Manager?
Nothing to report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and I don't know if you have closing comments for the law director or anybody else, or
Not necessary for me.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so do we have a motion to recess into executive session?
Well,
Okay, do we go over what?
let's state the purpose, so we have it.
I was gonna say. And this is that the only purpose that we have?
My understanding is yes.
Okay, purchase, or purpose is number 2, purchase or sale of property. So if we have a motion, okay, Mr. Alberini and Mr. Waddell. Okay, and I don't know, you have any comments or discussion on that, or do you go right into a roll call? Okay.
Savet?
Yes.
Bariak?
Yes.
Waddell?
Yes.
Braemeier?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Okay.
Sandy? Planning and zoning meets tomorrow night at 6 o'clock.